Today we have a tutorial video of Cosmic Run Rapid Fire by Dr. Finn's Games. Hi, I'm Kevin Baker and you're watching Shangri-La, my YouTube channel for tabletop board games, birding, and other educational videos. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends. Okay, just a heads up, we do have FlaMinGoCon number 32 coming up, bigger and better. So that's August 15th and 16th, 2026 at the Embassy Suites Hotel in West Palm Beach, Florida. 27 hours of board gaming. Okay, now let's take a look at Cosmic Run. So in this game, you're going to get a whole big block of 160 sheets to play, because this is a roll and write type game. You're going to get two kinds of dice. You've got the white ones, which are action dice. Then you've got mind dice. Those are the black ones. Okay, so, and it also comes with two pencils so that you can write down the results of your rolls. Okay, the description shows it's 2456. Planet Earth has been abandoned. The remaining humans, divided into political factions, that's probably why it was abandoned, the political factions destroyed it, are searching for a new home. And as the leader of a faction, you race towards New World, hoping to reach the planets before the other political factions, while avoiding attacks from your opponent. Of course, you're also going to get attacked by the aliens that already live on those worlds and don't really want you showing up. So, hey, maybe that was just a hint that we should take better care of planet Earth so that we don't have to go find a new home on Mars or hopefully someplace with better temperatures. Okay, so, and here on the sheet, you have, this is the round tracker. So you cross out the first mine to start the first round, and then you cross out one section for each round. In the first round, there's only one mine that the aliens throw at you. By the fourth round, the aliens know you're coming and they throw out two mines. And then they throw out three mines for the rest of the game. Okay, and this is the scoring area where you can total up your score. So these are technologies. So as you roll the different technologies, like say you roll a missile, you make an X in the missile spot. When you actually use that missile, you then cross it out. Here's an example of a sheet that somebody has already used. And so if you get a missile, you make an X right in there. And when you use it, you cross it out. Then when you're trying to figure out your score at the end, you get points for the technologies. You don't get the top ones, you just get the last ones. So you'd get 5 points for there. These are navigation. So to help you go diagonally, if you have the navigation control, you get those. These are transformers, so you can use that to change the color of your movement die. So you would get at the end of the game 2 points for there and 2 points for, these are the warps. You need warps because you get into a situation like this where you're trying to get to the planets and there's already a mine that is blocking you, so you use a warp to go through the mine. If you were here, you could use 2 warps to go through these two to get to the planet. You cannot use navigation control to go through the warps diagonally. That is not allowed. Otherwise, if you don't have warps, you got to go around in order to get to the planet. And it is possible to get completely blocked where you can't make any advancement, and that is one of the things that triggers the end of a 2-person game. This is either a 2-person game or a 1-person game, so it has a solo mode. And it has lots of different ways where you can intentionally make the game harder or easier. Okay, so there are lots of different things to show you. So these are your health trackers. Up here, your health meter. So you've got 3 health. Each time you get attacked, like this die here, that is a move 1 and then attack for 1, so of your opponent. So that would be 1 attack, so the opponent would have to shade in one of those orange things. Unless they had a missile, an extra missile that wasn't already crossed out, they could cross out the missile and avoid taking the damage. So if you roll navigation control, you would make an X in navigation control. If you got a transformer, you'd make an X in the transformer. And let's see, you can go a movement of 3, movement of 2, movement of 1. And then so you're wondering, are all these dice the same? No, all the dice are different. This one has a mine on it. So if you get the mine, what you do is you can actually, in a 2-person game, you pick A, B, or C. Like I'm gonna pick, well, it's like my opponent, and this one is in column C, so I'm gonna pick a C here. And then you roll the other die, and you got a C6, so you would shade in the 6, so it's already shaded in. So if it's already shaded in, nothing happens. If you do happen to have, let's say that the blue ship was here and C4 was rolled, that would be a hit because the mine would come in directly unless they had a missile to block it. So if the mine hits it, then your ship is moved back to the prior open space and you take 1 damage up here, which could blow you up. So it's important to have missiles in order to prevent dying. So that is very important. Okay, so your mission in a 2-person game is to make it to the planets. So you're trying to get to the planets before your opponents do. And if you get all your ships to all 3 planets first, you immediately win. If the game ends because everybody is blocked, or you run out of rounds, then that's when you total up the points. So this here is a -5. So if your ship is down here when points are scored, then you'd lose 5 points. If you get to here, that's 0 points. If you're here, that's 2 points. If you're here, that's 4 points, 7 points, 10 points, or 15 points if you make it all the way to the planet. So you would total all those up, put them in the scoring section, and see how far you get. So this is where you put your technology score, this is where you put the orange score, the blue score, and the green score. And you're doing this simultaneously against an opponent who's also trying to make their way to the planet. Or you could be doing this against the automated mode, against Zorlord, which I'll explain the solo mode afterwards. But the first thing is a mine phase to start the game. So in the first round, the first thing you'll do is you'll cross out one of the mines, and then you'll roll the mine dice, and both players will fill in B2. And then there's the captain, is the person that goes first, will roll the dice. The captain gets the first choice, and then you'll alternate back and forth selecting dice until all the dice are gone. And so I've already explained what the different dice do. Now, the dice are different. I went through and I'm kind of a nerd, so I figured out, why don't I figure out what's on each of the different sides of the dice? So this is the first die. It's got some advancement for green, single pip and an attack for blue, single pip and attack for orange. And this die has movement for orange, 2 missiles, and a navigation control. This one has some green movement, a missile, and a warp, and the mine. And then you've got dice that have some movement, some color changes, and some navigation control. And this one actually has a 3 movement and navigation control here, some transformation there. And so you can see that there's 4 dice that have single pip movement. There's 3 dice that have double pip movement. There's 4 missiles, 3 attacks, 2 warps, 3 navigation controls, only 1 mine, and 2 color changes. So warps can be very helpful, but they are not that prevalent. So if you get them, it may be good to get a few of those because they may help you get past some blockades that are near the end of the game. Okay, so first you did the mine phase, then you colored in the mines. And then after the mine phase, you have the action phase where the captain rolls the dice and then you selected them. So it's like movement die. It's like if you roll 3, you get to move 3. So let's show you. It's like if this was a green 3 and let's say there was a mine right here, you'd go 1 to the side and 2 up for a movement of 3. And so let's see, if this one over here was using a 2 on blue, they'd go 1 to the right and 1 up there and move the blue. Then you go back and forth until all of those dice are taken. If you don't have anything that you really want, you can take a die and put it down in this area here. 1 die gets you nothing, but once you put a second die in there, you can then discard both of these and pick one of the technologies. So if I put 2 dice in here, and then I say, okay, I need another warp. So you choose another warp. And then you put those back out. And if you can do that more than 1 time in a round if you really wanted to, but it is certainly not very efficient. Okay, so let's see. We've gone over attacks and the technology dice. And this is called the cargo bay, so that's what I just explained. This area here is for re-rolling. Say you rolled an orange, say you rolled the orange 3 there. That was the only thing available. You can take a re-roll, cross out one of your re-rolls, and because an orange isn't going to help you, you want a blue. You didn't get a blue, so you can choose to re-roll it again, choose to re-roll it again, and then when you last roll, and then you didn't get it. So you got to be stuck with what you got. But if you did get the 3 blue, you could have used that to advance your ship. Now, on advancing your 3 ships, there is what is known as the Armada rule. So no ship can be more than 5 spaces ahead of any of the other ships, because Armada means you're traveling all together. So once you're close to the planets, it doesn't matter. But if you are down here in your starting row, then if this ship hasn't moved at all, then this one can only go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and can't pass that level. But as soon as both ships are moved up, you see this one's here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, you can go all the way to the planet. But that can restrict how far your other ships can go based on whichever ship is the furthest back. You, of course, start from here and then advance forward. Now, the Armada rule is slightly silly since 3 separate planets are actually in 3 completely different places in the galaxy. So to say that you've got 3 ships that are going and need to stay together but are going to different planets, that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe they should have called it something else. But hey, that's just my nitpick. Okay, so we've gone over navigation. Okay, the end game. So if you reach all of your planets, say this guy got a 2 blue or the 3 blue, came to here, reached all the planets, automatically wins the game. If there's no possible movement, so say this wasn't here and you were completely blocked and you had no way of moving all the way up, then that can trigger the end of the game. Or if all 12 rounds had happened, then that also triggers the end of the game. Then you count up the scoring. Okay, now there is the minefield variant. This is the easy side. There's also a hard side, because you can see on here how the difference. On this one, not all of the rows have numbers, so there are some places that are safer than others. But on this side, the B side, not the A side, all of the rows have numbers. And so whenever you get a roll for the mines, like A4, there's an A4 here, there's an A4 here and here. So you'd have to put in this A4 and this A4 and this A4 and this A4. Ooh, no, you got hit by the mine. And then he would have to be pushed back to there and take a damage. Okay, so the B side is more challenging than the A side. You can also do a 2-person game in a friendly variant. So instead of using these dice here with movement and attack to attack your opponent, you instead, when you roll that, you move 1 and then you fill in one of your spots. So once you have 2 spots filled in, if you take a die that has a single pip, then, and you have 2 spots filled in, you get to move 2 green instead of 1. If you had all 3 filled in on the friendly variant and you take the single pip, then you get to move 3 spaces instead of 1 or 2. So that can move things along faster. And if you take the mine die, say you take this die, if this player takes this die, what they would do is, say they were on this round, you would circle that, and then on the next round, you would not have to take any mines for that round, which is a nice protection. Okay. And you can do a rapid fire variant where you ignore the Armada rule, and if you disable 2 of your opponent's ships, then that you also win. Now there's the solo game, which I've played through the solo game a bunch of times and really like it. Now for that, instead of burning through a whole bunch of sheets, I went and to my kitchen pantry and I pulled out some sandwich Ziplocs and got some nice dry erase markers. So hopefully you can still see that, and it's not too glaring, but I use the brown one for marking off that we've got the first round. So in the solo variant, this is the player, and this is Zorlord, ZL. Okay, don't need the pencil. And then what you do after you mark off that, you roll the mine dice, and you fill in, okay, B1. Now Zorlord is immune from the mines, so only the player gets the mines. So B1 goes here, and B1 goes here, and B1 goes here. You can also do this with the more difficult side if you want, but we're just, for an example, we're just gonna do a playthrough of the easier side. Not easy. I lost a whole bunch of games, and even though I now have a much better understanding, it's still pretty easy to lose. Then I switched to the green dice. Now, for the solo variant, you, instead of rolling the dice once and then alternating, you roll the dice, and then whichever die goes the furthest, that is the one that Zorlord is going to take. And 3 is orange is bad, so I'm immediately going to use one of my rerolls, and yep, Zorlord will take 1 orange instead. So you make 1 there, and then you get to choose among the rest of the dice. So let's take 1 missile. In the solo variant, you have to get all 3 of your ships to the planets before Zorlord gets 1 ship to any of the planets. And then after you take 1, then you re-roll the dice again. Now Zorlord always takes the die that moves out the furthest, and if 2 dice are equal, then the furthest left. So Zorlord takes a missile. Now Zorlord can't use the missiles, but one of the requirements is if you do get all 3 of your ships to all 3 planets, you have to have a higher technology score than Zorlord. If you're equal or less, then you lose the game. So you've got to be very careful with that and make sure that your technology is higher. Okay, and then you get to pick, well, let's take another missile just to make sure that the technology is always higher. Then we roll it again, whichever goes the furthest. Okay, so Zorlord takes a 1 orange here, and then has 1 attack. I don't want to get attack, so I will cross out one of the missiles and not take damage. And then I'm going to take the 2 blue to get my blue ship moving. Okay. Then when there's only 2 dice left, when you roll them, if one of them is an attack, Zorlord immediately takes the attack die. If they're both attacks, you get to choose, actually you don't get to choose, whichever one is higher and further to the left. If they're both the same height, then Zorlord will take that one. If neither of them are attack, you get to choose who gets what. And so I want to get my green ship moving. So I'll take a green, and Zorlord will take a blue. Okay, so then what you do is you mark out the next round, roll the mine dice again, you get a C1. So let's find C1. And that's right there, and right there. So 1 is going to be a hard level to pass. So I need to make sure that I have some navigation controls and some warps just in case. Okay, so then I roll the dice again. And the furthest one up is green. So 1 for green. And then I need to get my orange moving. So I'll take a 3 orange. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we roll again. So the furthest one is a missile. Okay, so let's take a color change just to make sure that we stay technology ahead. Then we roll again. Furthest one up is an orange and an attack. So he moves 1 for orange, and I'm going to cross out the missile so that I don't take the damage. Then I'm going to take a new missile so that I can block the next one. Okay, so then we get choices. Let's give Zorlord the blue, and I'll take another color change. Okay, and then on to round 3. We roll the mind dice. That is a C1. Okay, so C1 has already been rolled, which is fantastic. If you get a matching mind dice roll, then you can basically ignore it. Okay, so then let's roll these again. Okay, so Zorlord gets a color change. So Zorlord is sitting 3, and I'm sitting 5. So what do I want? I want to get the green moving. So let's get the green moving to there, and then roll again. Okay, so Zorlord gets a blue. Zorlord always takes the most direct path, so you can't snake Zorlord back and forth. And blue attacks, so that I'm going to not take the damage there. And I'm going to take another missile there. And let's see what we got. Zorlord takes 2 blue. And let's take the 2 orange. So now you can count this up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Orange can only go 1 more spot because of the Armada rule. So we can see, do we want to give, you can go, I could take, if I took the blue, you don't have to use all of the pips. I could just move it up 1 more if I wanted to. Or I could give the orange here, and he takes that, and then I take the 3 green to get this guy moving. Okay. Then in this round, there's 2 mines. So the first mine goes there, and that is A2. So we take a look at A2. See, A2 would hit this ship, which is very bad. So I don't like A2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross out this missile and not fill in any of the A2 damage. But that's just the first roll. We have the second roll. We have the C2. So we will go ahead and fill in C2. That's here, and here, and here. Okay. Now let's roll again. So the furthest one is the 2 blue. So Zorlord does not have to follow the Armada rule, unfortunately. That would be a nice variant to force that upon. So let's, okay, do I want some warps? Let's take some warps. Those are harder to get. And then we'll roll again. Okay, so this one is the furthest. Do I really want him to have a 3 blue? I do not. So I'm going to use a reroll. Reroll that, and it becomes a 1 blue. That's better. I already used 1 reroll, I think. And then for me, I'm gonna color change this one. Make this blue instead of orange. And so let's go 1, 2 forward and 1 to the right. Okay, if I was already next to it, I could have used a warp to go through it, but I wasn't far enough ahead. Okay, so he gets a navigation control that he will never use, but we're just keeping track. He's at 4 points and I am 7 points, so well ahead. And let's take another missile. So now you can see that this die has 2 missiles on it. This one only has 1 and 1 pip. So let's take the one with 1 pips. So if the 2 dice seem the same, they're not. And so knowing that the dice are different, you can make good choices. Okay, so we've got an orange of 2 and a green of 1. So we're gonna give him the green of 1, and we'll take the orange of 2, because now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can go up 2 without a problem. Okay, and then on to the round 5. Roll the mine dice. C6. Let's see, that C6 is there, C6 is there, C6 is there. Okay, so that's pretty safe. So we'll take a C6 here, a C6 there, and a C6 here. Okay, second roll. We have a B3. So let's take a look at B3. B3 is safe there. B3 is safe there. Okay, so B3, B3, B3. Okay, second roll. C1. C1 is already there, so we're good. Okay. Then we roll again. The furthest one up is a green 3. We'll let him have that. Green is pretty far back. And we need to get, I don't like any of those. So let's just take 1. It's not great. Yeah, okay, I changed my mind. Don't take that one. And let's use a color change. And let's change this one to blue. And go 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're moving. So he gets a blue 2, which is not great. He's almost winning. And I'll take the green 3. 1, 2, 3. Next roll, he gets a green 3, which is good. We want him to roll greens. And I'm gonna use a reroll on this. Actually, we're marking our rerolls on there. We should be marking our rerolls on here. You are allowed to reroll the ones for Zorlord. Let's reroll this one. And it comes out as a 2 blue. That's good. Okay, last roll on this round. Okay, so Zorlord takes the green. and attacks my green for 1. I'm just gonna take the attack. That's fine. Then orange 1. Okay. So then next round, rolling first one, A4. Oh, you see? I decided not to use my last missile. A4 would have knocked this guy backwards, and that would be bad. So I'm going to use the missile to avoid that one. Second roll, B5. B5 is okay there. It's okay there. B5, well, I don't have a missile. So I have no choice. B5 hits this guy. It's moved back to here, and you take a damage. So then B5 is here, and B5 is there. So if I take one more damage on the green ship, then the game is over. So let's roll this. Okay, so Zorlord gets 2 for orange. And now I'm gonna use the warp. So with a green 2, so that way you can go through this one and you land back on here. Okay, then we roll again. Okay, so Zorlord gets a missile. So Zorlord's at 5 points, and I'm at 8 points, so that's fine. Now let's check our Armada status, 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically you can go all the way to the end without any problems. So let's take the 3 orange there. 1, 2, 3, and roll again. Zorlord takes 2 blue. Ooh, that's pretty bad. Zorlord gets 1 more blue, then we've lost the game. Okay, so let's use the 1 orange, and orange is now into the planet. Now, mines don't affect orange any longer, and taking damage there from attacks also doesn't matter. So we have that one went the furthest, and 2 blue would definitely kill us. So we've got 1 more reroll, and you got the 2 blue anyway. So Zorlord made it to the planet first, and therefore the solo game is lost, which is the usual outcome. Now there are ways to make this easier. You could add in the tech tools. And so tech tools, you can play the normal rules, but with these changes. During the setup, place the tech tools face up in the play area. And then during the game, if you take a single pip, green, orange, or blue, you can take one of these cards. And then if you already have the card, then you can use the powers described on the other side. So this one gets you a free reroll if you get the 1 pip. This one, a 1 orange, is actually a 2 movement of those colors. A blue one is a free technology. So if you already have this card, take a movement with 1 blue, earn an additional technology in addition to the movement, which is really nice. So you could use those to make it a little easier, or add those into a 2-person game. So that is very neat. I'm not sure if these were separate or part of the game. They're not in the manual, so maybe they were purchased separately. I don't know. I bought this copy at a thrift shop, and it was still perfect. But that is the solo game. Now you can do things to make things harder. You could use the opposite side. I have those in different sleeves. The opposite side has more mines that would come in. You can make things harder. You can roll the mine die multiple times before the start of the game to fill in as many mines as you want to make it even harder. There's a novice mode for the solo mode. Instead of Zorlord always getting the die that goes the furthest, you alternate between being captain. So first time Zorlord is the captain and would get that one, but the next round, say you each took one of those, the next round when things are rolled, you would get first choice. So say if you took this one, then Zorlord would get the next highest one, which would be that one. Or you could take the warp. So that is another way to make it slightly easier. And you can make it harder on yourself if you want by not allowing rerolls. And just to clarify, rerolls are only for these white dice. They are not for rerolling the mine dice. And so I had to clarify that. And if you do use a color change on an attack, like this one, you still, you can go one of any color you want, but the attack is still going to be the color rolled, so that would still be an attack on blue. And those are the ways to play Cosmic Run Rapid Fire. I like it a lot, and it will be in the library at FlaMinGoCon, so come and check it out. If your group is taking a long time trying to figure out what to play, you could run through a solo version of this while they're discussing what the next game is. If you're playing a game like Terraforming Mars, where you're just bored waiting for everybody else to decide, you could play this simultaneously. Who knows? Lots and lots of options. Okay, yeah, so hope to see you all in person at the next FlaMinGoCon, which is coming up August 15th and 16th in West Palm Beach at the Embassy Suites Hotel. Okay, be well.